I'm Kevin Jacobsen of Gold Derby here with Juliette Lewis, who stars as Natalie on the great new Showtime series Yellowjackets. So I was reading just from other interviews that you've done that this is one of the better pilot scripts that you've read in recent years. And I'm just curious, what were the elements that made you realize, like, I would love to play Natalie. I want to tell her story.
Um, let's see. I know what makes an amazing script.
Hmm.
One of the things I think and characters is that it's unexpected, right? A lot of unexpected things occur, and then the way, obviously, you've seen the show, but the way things are put together is really interesting. And then Natalie, I liked. I said yes after the script, and then you get a pitch meeting, because this is still the wild thing about television, is that you are committing potentially years of your life without knowing what you will be playing. This idea a lot of TV actors, it's like, yeah, that's what we do, no big deal. But when you have your DNA in film, it's still a bit of an anomaly. But the pitch meeting and the script said that Natalie was imbued with mystery. I love that she's one thing on the veneer on the outside, and then has a world of I don't want to overuse the word trauma, angst. Let's take it back to fucking high school. She has a world of angst,
Right.
well, and danger and all this stuff. But I do think she's very unpredictable. And in the second season, you'll think you have pegged her in the first season, and then she's something totally different in the second season. That is what one of the show creators did tell me. It was like, she's a chameleon. But it's a snapshot in season one. We're seeing her at a very specific place.
Right. Wow. Well, that's an exciting tease already for season two. Maybe getting to explore more layers. But something that I noticed about Natalie right away, and this is true for both the teenage her and the adult version, is she just wears her heart on her sleeve. Probably the most out of any of the four women, I would say. And there's just a directness to her, and just kind of like externalizing of what she's going through and the pain that she's experiencing. I mean, how much did that, just the way she expresses herself in that way, kind of resonate with you in terms of wrapping your mind around the character?
Well, I'm so curious, what makes you think that? Is it towards the end when she's like emotional to Misty? Because I did find that, like, what? She's gonna be like emotional here. Like,
Yeah,
what?
well,
I didn't know she's like that with the way you're describing.
just in the sense that, she's breaking into the vending machine,
Right.
she's
Yeah.
she's going to get the shotgun, and there's just, it feels like she's just very active as a person.
That is so radical, this idea. Yes, yes. Sometimes, because I found her to be like almost imploding.
That's
But
true.
yes, no, those are broad strokes, like
Hmm.
the vending machine. I think, oh yeah, because it's towards the end. I do think she's not normally that way at all. The way she has been the rehab, where I think she's like a grifter. This is what we had talked about of who she is. She's been a grifter. She survives. She makes money, and she's on the criminal fringe, and then she goes home, and then and then sparks all those addiction issues. Like, she was probably going to go see Travis and resume this torturous relationship, but he's dead. So then you're watching a person who already we didn't know was going to break apart, give them a death to deal with of their like greatest love, and then that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a person unravel. And I thought that was really interesting. So, for instance, all those scenes in the hotel, whenever because I would get a script and I'd be like, oh, Natalie's in a hotel room. And unlike all the other characters who have jobs, they have kids, or they're juggling this, Natalie is just juggling self, you know, in a space. So every detail became important to me, like what she's wearing, how much did she drink. It was a whole energy-based process that was really unique and strange, that I'd never done before. Because every time you open that hotel door, I wanted her to have a different energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, speaking to that, maybe I think, you know, the pain that she's going through, I do wonder how you take that home at the end of the day, because yes, there's a nice balance that the show has of some dark comedy. And I do think you get some of the better comedic lines on the show, just with the kind of bluntness that she has sometimes. But do you feel like any of that sort of darkness follows you home at this point in your career?
My expressions that you're seeing right now is because I'm cutting you off to go, yes, this
Yeah.
was a, it's not that it follows me home, it's that we came from the pandemic. So I came from isolation to isolation,
That's true.
and all the existential breaking apart that was occurring. I had many losses coming to the table to start this job. So it was a really tough shoot. And then also I was dealing with not knowing where this character was going to end up, which I think where she does end up is rightful, is what's the word? I think correct for the path she's on. But normally I'm not a methody person. I go for walks, you know, and I leave a character, but I like to make people think that I commit so hard that, you know, that she's lost her mind, or if that's what you need to think. So I'm happy. I mean, for the first beginning of my career after Natural Born Killers, people thought I was crazy, which is a big compliment, I imagine. Because
Yeah,
they didn't think that of Woody Harrelson. We've talked about it. It's funny.
Right. Maybe, yeah, it is a compliment, I'd say. But I do also want to talk about Sophie Thatcher, who plays teenage Nat, and really remarkable how the two of you complement each other, I would say, not just personality wise, but mannerisms, voice. I would just love to know what the two of you talked about, or if you had those kind of big conversations.
Sophie Thatcher, I cannot say enough good things about. Obviously, you see her presence immediately. She's captivating. She would tell you about her process, that she watched me. So that's her. But also organic. She's very organic and natural. And I think we share some commonalities, common ground, and it's a testament to the brilliant casting of this show, because there were things like I see her and I talk to her. Yes, to answer your question, we talked a lot, or actually not a lot, but it felt like quality, the quality versus quantity. But she reminded me of aspects of myself at 19, very insular, and even the lower register of her voice. I thought that was interesting because we both speak lower, and sometimes her characters, I mean, not sometimes, that I lean into using my voice in that way. And this character is all, you know, low register. She's scraping the bottom, metaphorically. Yeah, but Sophie, yeah, she's really special. We talked about music. We talked about what Natalie, that she was artistically inclined, that Natalie was a classic, could have done this, that, and the other, but doesn't apply herself kind of vibe because of her home life and that kind of pain. Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I also want to talk about the adult castmates that you share the scenes with, especially Christina Ricci. Just, particularly the road trip that the two of you take is just a really fun storyline. That's kind of odd couple energy. What are your memories of those episodes when it's just the two of you and just getting the opportunity to bounce off of Christina in that way?
Christina was so fun. It's such a revelation for me because I did very much feel like a big sister
Yeah,
in
she mentioned that too. I just talked to her. She's like, she was the little sister. Yeah.
yeah, and I'm just a hair older, but it's also we came up in the 90s, so I have that kindred, a chef, an older sister feeling because I know all that she's gone through in her trajectory of early fame, and also that I just shared a kinship with her as a person, because she's also a not straight down the middle, of a performer aesthetically. So I think we share interesting traits. She's an original. And also, what do I want to say? Oh, when we sat in the car, what was funny is we work very similarly. So very no nonsense. I nicknamed us Betty and Joan. Betty Davis and Joan Crawford.
Perfect.
Either one we could shift who's who on any given day. But just because you're dealing with like old veterans, and like she has her funny idiosyncrasies with the mic boom situation. Just logistically how we work on a set, it was we have a no nonsense approach, and we're old pros, even though we're midlife. It was very cute and funny.
Yeah, I love those scenes. I'm also just wondering about
yeah.
I'm wondering just about the four of you, with Melanie Lynskey and Tawny Cypress. All of you have been in the business for a few decades now. Just how much you were able to bond and to swap stories and also talk characters. Just what is that dynamic that the four of you share?
Yeah, it's a trip. I'm bringing back an old term these days. It's a trip, man. No, it was a trip because we all connected so organically, and none of us have lead with ego. We were all on a Marco Polo chain. Shout out to Marco Polo, who kept a lot of people connected and alive during pandemic, post-pandemic. And yeah, we would share like who's the director that week and how are these scenes, and just share information and absolutely stories to get to know each other a little bit better. But it came naturally, whereas some productions you could be very formal about, hey, you and I should get together to work out the relationship of our characters. We didn't have to do that as a formality. It came really natural. And I just saw them all yesterday, and it's just like a walk in the park with these three other girls. Really, really easy and joyful.
And I feel like that almost helps to show that these four women have known each other for so long that, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the weird part of it, is that even though they're adversarial on screen or they're snippy and, there's a lot of, I don't know the word, pathos, I guess. What bonds us is that, yes, that affinity, that deep affinity. I think it is good to have that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's been interesting to see the response from the fans and all of the theories that have popped up and how people have really dissected like every little bit of this story down to your clothes and just everything.
Oh, that's cool. They should check it. That's funny. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why do you think that the fans have connected with this story in the way that they clearly have? Have you been tapped into that fan response much?
No, I'm trying to think it through of even why, because even in music, why some people gravitate to one song versus another, even though your heart is in both. There's sometimes a zeitgeist kind of situation of a perfect cross or an amalgamation of things that people collectively are desiring. But to answer your question, no, I only get fan responses in person, at the grocery store, in cars. I got one recently at the 7-Eleven. I do like a good in-person sweet connection, and yeah, people light up. They're really excited about it. But I don't unlike, I think Melanie reads everything. I don't do that. I would not. Yeah, I don't.
Is that just a personal preference that you prefer not to be engaged with that aspect? I mean, some people don't.
They don't. It was funny. The innate, way early on in the beginning of time, it's an innate rebel in me, I guess you'd say. Don't believe the hype, and this is me. I was oddly, I don't want to call it cynical, but unfazed. Even it was like a worldly view at 20, because I know it will leave you. Do you see how heartbreaking that is? Like, I just knew. I don't know. I just knew I was always interested in the long-term, long haul. So I don't read, but you definitely want to know if something is working. And yeah.
I think this one is. Yeah.
Good.
Super quick, just in yeah, super quick, just last minute or so. We're heading into the second season. Do you have expectations for how you see this story moving forward, or are you like, go with the flow? I'll see what's in the script and we'll go from there.
I'm kind of a hybrid of, I'm definitely a team player. I like to problem solve, but I always like to put my spin on things. So for instance, when the scene where she breaks up the room and goes fuck about she just like yells about or it breaks the TV, and originally starts on the phone. I love the navigation of energy. I love that she's like that, and then the explosion. I like to do things in a fresh, very specific way, so that you're not doing an imitation of an imitation of an imitation. So this is why, which is a huge compliment, where I'm known to be quite individual or originality. One would hope, although I can be cliched as well, but I try to avoid it. So to answer your question, we have brilliant writers, show creators that now are like lit up because they have a hit show. So I feel like they're going to take even more chances and be even more adventurous and leaping in their imagination, and they already were. So I am very excited about the tales or the stories they're going to be. I do have a very specific idea about Natalie, that you're not going to see her. Well, and we share the same idea. I mean, the creators. It was funny. It was funny because when we were talking recently, we both referenced a similar documentary that we didn't know each other saw.
Ooh, that's cool.
It was very cool. So it meant, okay, maybe we're connected on Natalie's next adventure after being
right. I think we'll leave it at that. For those of you watching, subscribe for more interviews and go to goldderby.com to make your Emmy predictions. Great getting to talk to you, Juliette. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And this is a wild ride for me, but there you go, because you said that last word. So we shall see. We're all revving our engines for the Emmy.
Boom, boom.
Okay. Okay, bye.